Hi there, I'm Strangely Brown, and you're watching a screen scene review of Lilo and Stitch, the 2025 live-action movie.
What the hell?
ʻOhana means family. For a whole generation, that one phrase, spoken by a quirky little girl in Hawaii to a chaotic blue alien, defined one of Disney's most honest and beloved stories. The 2002 animated Lilo and Stitch was never a fairy tale. It was a messy, funny, and surprisingly deep story about broken people and aliens finding their way back to each other. It hit on grief, loneliness, and the struggle to hold a family together with a rawness that we just didn't see from Disney that often. Now, here we are in 2025, and director Dean Fleischer Camp, the mind behind the wonderfully tender Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, has taken on the massive job of bringing this classic into the world of live action. The question was never just can they do it, but should they? Let's be real, Disney's track record with these remakes is spotty at best. So, did they recapture the magic, or is this another beautiful but hollow echo of the past? Let's get into it. So, what can you expect without me spoiling the big stuff? The heart of the story, brought to us by director Dean Fleischer Camp, is still there. A lonely Hawaiian girl named Lilo, who's still trying to make sense of the world after losing her parents, adopts what she thinks is a very, very weird dog. Of course, that dog is really Experiment 626, a creature of pure chaos built by the mad scientist Dr. Jumba Jookiba. Chasing him to Earth are Jumba himself, played by Zach Galifianakis, and the hilariously Earth-obsessed Agent Pleakley, played by Billy Magnussen. And through it all, Lilo's older sister Nani is fighting desperately to prove she's capable of raising Lilo on her own. Right off the bat, the film's biggest win is the casting of Lilo and Nani. Newcomer Maya Kealoha is an absolute star as Lilo. She perfectly captures that wonderful weirdness, that deep-down loneliness, and that fierce loyalty we all love. You completely buy her connection to Stitch, even when she's acting opposite a ball on a stick that will later become a CGI alien. And opposite her, Sydney Agudong gives a truly powerful performance as Nani. The remake smartly gives her character more screen time to explore the dreams she had to sacrifice, and it makes her struggle feel that much more real and heartbreaking. Their chemistry is the emotional anchor of the entire movie. And what about our little blue agent of chaos? Stitch looks incredible. The CGI is a total success, bringing him to life in a way that feels both realistic and perfectly true to the original animation. He's expressive, he's mischievous, and yes, he's still cute and fluffy. In a move that will make any fan tear up, he is once again voiced by his original creator Chris Sanders. Hearing that iconic voice say "This is my family" after more than 20 years, yeah, it still hits hard. Visually, the film is a bit of a mixed bag. Hawaii is of course absolutely gorgeous, and the cinematography makes the island setting feel real, but many feel it's missing the unique stylized charm of the original's famous watercolor backgrounds. The live-action setting, while stunning, just feels a little more generic in comparison. The whole tone feels different too. It's been called darker and more frantic, with a faster pace that sometimes steamrolls over the quiet, emotional beats that made the original so special. It's louder and more chaotic, which might work for a new generation of kids, but it feels a little less mature than the film it's based on. Okay, let's dive a little deeper. How does the 2025 version really stack up against the 2002 masterpiece? Let's start with what works. The absolute best thing the remake does is give Nani more depth. In the original, she's a hero, but we don't fully see everything she gave up. Here, by showing us her college ambitions and the future she sacrificed, the film adds a profound layer of tragedy to her story. The performances from Maya Kealoha and Sydney Agudong are fantastic, and their bond as sisters is the undeniable beating heart of this movie. But for all those gains, there are some pretty big losses. The most glaring change is the complete absence of Captain Gantu, the hulking, shark-like enforcer from the original. Director Dean Fleischer Camp has said this was a creative choice to focus more on the family drama and avoid a simple good versus evil story. In his place, Jumba is reimagined as the film's primary villain, a change that fundamentally alters his character arc from a bumbling antagonist who finds a family into a more straightforward bad guy. Many reviews have pointed out that Zach Galifianakis' performance feels disappointingly flat, lacking the manic energy of the original and creating a weak chemistry with Billy Magnussen's Pleakley. Another change that has fans divided is the handling of Pleakley. The original's running gag of Pleakley clumsily disguising himself in wigs and dresses is gone. Instead, both he and Jumba use technology to appear as humans, a change the director has said was partly for practical and budgetary reasons. While his outfits are still quirky, removing this specific element has been seen by many as a loss of the original's progressive and comedic edge. These changes, combined with the faster pace, make the remake feel like it's missing some of the original's weird, wonderful magic. It polishes the story, but in doing so it sands down the very quirks that made it a classic. The next part we are going to talk about needs a spoiler warning: the ending and other major changes. Alright, this is your final warning. If you haven't seen the movie and don't want the ending completely spoiled, skip ahead to the conclusion. Still here? Let's talk about the biggest changes. The entire climax of this film is different because Captain Gantu is gone. It's Jumba who destroys the house and captures Stitch, planning to continue his twisted experiments. Lilo has to sneak aboard his ship to rescue her friend, leading to a crash in the ocean. But the most controversial change by far is what happens after the climax. In a massive departure from the original, Nani makes the heart-wrenching decision to give up legal guardianship of Lilo. Their neighbor, a new character named Tunt, takes Lilo in as her foster mother. Lilo then encourages Nani to finally accept her college scholarship and follow her own dreams. The film ends with Nani away at school, staying in touch with Lilo through video calls and visits using a portal gun. This ending completely rewrites the core message of the original movie. The animated film ended with the entire broken family, Lilo, Nani, Stitch, Jumba, and Pleakley, all living together under one chaotic roof. This version separates the sisters. The filmmakers have defended the choice, saying they wanted to modernize the story and expand the definition of ʻOhana to include the entire community. But for many fans, this change feels unsatisfying and goes against the very principle that nobody gets left behind. It aims for a more realistic conclusion, but in the process it sacrifices the powerful, simple, emotional gut punch of the original ending. So, what's the final verdict on the 2025 live-action Lilo and Stitch? Honestly, it's a film caught between two worlds. On one hand, it's a solid remake anchored by two phenomenal lead performances from Maya Kealoha and Sydney Egudong, who bring so much heart to Lilo and Nani. The Stitch CGI is flawless, and hearing Chris Sanders' voice again is pure joy. On the other hand, it's a film that makes some truly baffling changes, stripping away the original's beloved quirks and twisting its core message into something almost unrecognizable. Is it worth watching? If you're new to the story, especially if you have kids, it's a perfectly fine family adventure. But for anyone who grew up with the original, it will most likely feel like a huge missed opportunity. It's a remake that copies the scenes but fails to recapture the soul. It's not the worst of Disney's live-action remakes, but it's a long way from being the best. It proves that sometimes you just can't fix what was never broken. I'm giving Lilo and Stitch a 7 out of 10. But hey, that's just my 2 cents. I am dying to know what you all think. Are you planning on seeing it? If you already have, what did you think about that ending? Let me know everything down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this review, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe for more movie deep dives. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.